Hey guys. All right. I want to talk about something that is really at the forefront of my mind. So, actively right now, I have been reading and starting to read John Piper's book called Providence. And I'm not very far into it. It's a very intimidating looking book because I'm not a major reader, as I've mentioned before. Um, but really, so far, what I've been getting out of the book is just really showing really the beauty of providence in how it's um, not just things aren't just coincidental. They don't just happen. We're not talking about just fate. Things don't just happen to us. There is a purpose behind the things that happen to us. God is sovereign, and all providence is. I like how Piper words it as purposeful sovereignty. So it's not just coincidental. It's he's got a plan in place, and everything is moving forward to that. And so I've been reading these last really few weeks with trying. My goal when I'm reading is to really try to find places in the Bible, again, where God tells me who He is or tells me who I am. And this just combined really well with what I was reading here in Psalm 105 this week. And I just want to share this with you guys because it's just tied so closely together with what Piper's bringing out in his book called Providence. And yeah, it got me excited, so I just wanted to share it. So in Psalm 105, man, this chapter has got so much history in it. But the thing that I started to notice, especially once I get down to, well, even really in verse 2, but like the highlight and the theme of this chapter is just, it's got providence all over the place. And I love, if you start to look at most of the verses, especially once you get about halfway into the chapter, it's just God, like, really, it's you're starting to see like God's footprint everywhere throughout this chapter. You see like the psalmist writing, and he's just like sing to Him, sing praises to Him, tell of all His wondrous works. Look further down in verse 5. Remember the wondrous works that He has done, His miracles, and the judgments He uttered. Verse 7, He is the Lord our God. Verse 8, He remembers His covenant forever. The Word, which I love that because whenever you see the Word, it's like, you know He's talking about Jesus. The word that He commanded for 1,000 generations. The covenant that He made with Abraham. His sworn promise to Isaac, which He confirmed with Jacob, saying, to you I will give you the land of Canaan. Oh, I love how the psalmist is just bringing out, like, this is God moving forward to this people who don't deserve Him also. Like, this is a people who, like, God didn't choose them because they were special. He chose them, which made them special. I love that differentiation of, like, there's a major difference between those two things. Just like He chooses us, not because we're amazing, but like He just chooses us for His own glory's sake. I love how the psalmist will also bring that out. I've noticed that as I've been reading through my psalms, and it's so good. I just love that because it takes all the pressure off of me. I'm just not like, oh, it's not about I got to maintain my specialness and keep myself in this position of whatever. It's just I can rest in His completed work, knowing that it's not based on me, which is so comforting. But that pattern just continues throughout. Like even verse 14, He allowed no one to oppress them. He rebuked kings on their account. Touch not my anointed ones. Do my prophets no harm. 16, He summoned a famine on the land and broke all the supply of bread. He had sent a man ahead of them, Joseph, who was sold a slave. So we're talking about Joseph going to Egypt, sold into slavery by his brothers. And you go, no, his brothers sold him into slavery. But that's not what it says here. It says he had a man sent ahead of them. Like, oh, I love it. It's like just the Lord providentially working Joseph into this position. And then he gets made the Lord of Pharaoh's house, putting Joseph in this position. And the Lord makes his people fruitful. The Lord makes his people fruitful, not anything else. And then in verse 25, he turned, we're talking about God again, he turned their hearts to hate his people. So talk about the Egyptians, to deal craftily with his servants. He sent Moses, his servant, and Aaron, like to the people. He sent darkness to the land. He turned the waters into blood. He spoke, and there came swarms of flies and gnats. He gave hail for rain. He struck down their vines and fig trees. He spoke, and the locusts came. He struck down the firstborn of their land. And then I love this one. And then he brought out Israel with silver and gold. He spread a cloud of covering for them during the day and a fire to give them light by night. He brought quail, brought them the food. He gave them bread from heaven. He opened the rock and water gushed out. Verse 42, he remembered his holy promise and Abraham. And verse 43, he brought his people out with joy. He gave them the lands of the nations, and they just took possession of the fruit of the people's toil, that they might keep his statutes and observe his laws. Praise the Lord. I just love the whole aspect. You look throughout this chapter, you're just like, this is the Lord. He did this. He did that. He did this. He turned. He spoke. He gave. He struck. He spoke. He struck. He brought. He spread. He brought. He opened. He remembers. And what do? They just take. They take possession. I just love the way that the psalmist brings out the providentiality, if that's a word, of God moving throughout their history. It's just, even in places where you wouldn't necessarily think it, right? Like, he sends Joseph ahead. It's like his brothers, this is like an excuse so they don't have to kill him, and they're just going to sell him away into slavery. But no, like when the psalmist looks back on that, he sees the Lord's hand working over this, and he views that and just goes, no, this is God sending him forward, preparing the way. And what a picture of that the Lord sends somebody ahead to prepare the way. Just like John the Baptist, preparing the way of the Lord, right? Like there's just so many pictures throughout. And so that's something that I just really came together with what I'm reading with John Piper's book and this chapter. It made me so happy and excited throughout the day, because then throughout my day I was able to take that and go, if you are so involved, Lord, in that much and so in control of all these little circumstances to make this go, then if something doesn't quite go the way I think it should today, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's something that I need to really think about and really rethink about what I think should happen and shouldn't happen. Because ultimately, I'm not God. And whenever I am complaining about something that happens to me, that's just me trying to be God, really. And that's sinful. And this is so comforting to see this written here, knowing that he's just in full control. I just love it. So that's what he showed me in chapter 105. This is just going to be an example of what I want to start doing on this channel. So hopefully this was enjoyable. I'm actually currently going to be doing my first one of these tomorrow. I'm on Psalm 110. So we'll see what the Lord has in store for me. It's a short psalm. And I've just been taking a psalm every morning and then really just trying to ask the Lord to show me something, even if it's something very simple. And so yeah, hope you guys will enjoy these. But this is sort of a quick, rough idea of what these are going to look like. Not massively edited, maybe a little bit of editing. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.